Take the journey, come on, let's go. Ooh yeah, where the stars and secrets flow. Some Nation X radios glow. In the night, we'll ride the show into the unknown, unknown. When mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, own. Yeah, yeah. Come with us and let it go, go. Night sky whispers in the dark. Secret trails will leave a mark. Follow close, ignite that spark. We're alive, it's just the start. Into the unknown, unknown. When mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, own. Yeah, yeah. Come with us and let it go, go. Feel the rhythm, feel the night. Every heartbeat, pure delight. So mysteries come to light. Hold on tight, it's out of sight. Into the unknown, unknown. When mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, own. Yeah, yeah. Come with us and let it go, go. Feel the rhythm, feel the night. It's every heartbeat, pure delight. Mysteries come to light. Hold on tight, it's out of sight. Into the unknown, unknown. When mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, own. Yeah, yeah. Come with us and let it go, go. Feel the rain, come on, let's go. Feel it. Oh yeah, where the stars and secrets glow so bright. Some Nation X radios glow. Oh no, in the night we'll ride the show into the unknown, unknown. When mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, own. Come with us and let it go, go, go. When mysteries are shown, shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, yeah, yeah. Come with us and let it go, go. Unraveling the mysteries, secrets in the night. We travel through the cosmos, ready for the flight. Together we'll shine, casting shadows aside. In the heart of the rhythm where our dreams collide.
Join the Nation X quest, the truth is our guide. In the vast expanse, it's where we reside. Hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the grooves around us, everything's alright.
On this Nation X quest, the truth is our guide. In the vast expanse, it's where we reside. Hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the grooves surround us, everything's alright. SNX radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spots. Heavy bass drops with tight beats.
Illuminate the shadows, the echo of our call.
On this roller ring we'll never fall. explore the spot. Here in the spotlight, we're taking our turn. With the fire in our hearts, let the passion burn. SNX radio's call, ringing through the air. Together we rise, together we dare.
So join us now, let the rhythm flow. With SNX radio, we're ready to go. Unraveling the mystery side by side, we stand hand in hand. In this dance of truth, let the story expand.
Hello, everybody. I had to make sure that I was off of mute, but welcome back to another episode of SNX Radio. I'm Coley, and tonight we have a very special guest. If you were on the other night, I believe it was Saturday night. No, I didn't have a show on Saturday. So it's been Friday night. We had our very own Solomon Jacks, who jumped up and on front of the camera, and I was so impressed. I was like, hey, you want to come back and do a show? And he's like, yeah. So we scheduled it for today. And so usually I don't do shows a lot on Wednesday, but definitely wanted to get time in and make this happen. So without further ado, I'm gonna bring him on and let him introduce himself. He's the many wonders of the world. Welcome back to the show. And
Yeah, White Buffalo just wants to say hello first. He can't do anything, by himself. Can't do it without him. Yeah. Hello, America. How you all doing?
yes.
So how you want to go about this? Do you want me to just launch into it, or you got some questions?
No,
or-
I like to start off like, hey, why don't you tell everybody like a little bit about yourself, or like what your topics are, and because you have a YouTube channel and you're on social media, and just kind of a little bit like more about you, and we can go from there.
Well, obviously, the accent betrays where I'm from. British as it gets. Spent a fair bit of time in the States, born on the east coast of England, in a place called Lowestoft. It has a certain claim to fame. First off, it's only 30 miles north of Rendlesham, and it's also the head of the leyline, what they call the Michael and Mary leyline. And that is kind of the top part of it. Passes through a village called Eye, which means Eye of the Dragon, because the Druids and the Saxons, they called it the Dragon Line. And then the tail of the dragon comes out in the West Country, where all of the crop circles show up. By trade, I've worked as an online psychic. Predominantly, I'm a singer. I just jamming away with your signature tune there. Sun rises very early, when it rises at all in this place on the East Coast. And from like age 0, I seemed to be aware of things that other people were not. I found that I had a way of seeing spirit in clouds, but everything I saw seemed to have more of an American tinge to it than an English one. And it always kind of felt like I'd been born in the wrong country, because when I saw spirit, I saw Native American peoples in cloud formations and that kind of thing. Both of my parents were experiences, and probably the best place to start is by saying how that all came to be. So before I get into a load of sort of historic stuff, I want to say that my primary focus is always on one single word, and that word is time. I think time is the word that unifies every single thing that we ever talk about on these channels. A ghost or a spirit entity is something that is behind you in time. What you might call an alien or whatever is something that's slightly ahead of you or to one side of you in time. And I feel time is the word in which everything else converges. Okay? So imagine, I love this analogy. I have to admit this. Okay. This is my view of the universe. Imagine you're standing in an empty room, there's nothing in it except for a table and a goldfish bowl. There's a little fish in the bowl, and he probably sounds like the one in American Dad. You know, he talks with a German accent. And you're standing behind him, and the fish is swimming away from you. Now, you can see his future because you know where he's swimming. And if you want to be clever, you can walk around and you can be in his future, or you can be in his past. And if you want to, you could put your hands all the way around his little, fishbowl universe. And now you're in his future and you're in his past simultaneously. And if he tries to go sideways, it's the same outcome. You're everywhere. You're all around him, which seems fairly straightforward. But if you now do like a Hollywood camera pullback and you see that looking down on you is a much bigger room outside the one that you're in, and a much greater being than you are, and he is now looking on this little fella, now you are the goldfish. You see where this is going? And probably another room bigger than that beyond him. So what happens is a lot of the entities that we talk about on here, be they ET, ghost, Sasquatch, they have this same ability to one degree or another. They're not always in the past or in the future. They're kind of in both. They can see ahead and behind because they have a mastery of time that we don't understand yet, or will eventually understand. So most people think about time as a river, or maybe a train, So you've got train A, the station master of train, station A, is the midwife, or the doctor that brings you into the world. And then at the other end, station B has a station master called the Grim Reaper, So, but it's not like that. It's not this straight line from over there to over here. It's more like a spider's web, And obviously the really important part of a spider's web is the middle bit, the bit where the spider sits and does her little bit of weaving. Now this obviously is known by so many different names. Everybody has their own name for this. They call it the Great Spirit, the Great Mystery, the central point, the still point in time, the divine source. Everybody has their own name for it, but it's like an old-fashioned telephone exchange when, the woman would take the incoming call, take that line and plug it into somebody else's line and connect you. But the gist of it is you have to go through the middle. You have to go through this timeless thing. So if you can access this timeless spot, this still point, you can look across the threads of the spider's web at different timelines. And I think when we have what we call paranormal experiences or ET experiences, or whatever name you want to hang on it, whichever show you're doing at the time, whichever guest you're interviewing at the time, they're all doing exactly that. Their consciousness is steeping, accessing that middle point, that center of the spider's web, and it's giving them an insight, a vision along one of those lines that you don't normally see or feel. You kind of sense them there, but you always have to go into this slightly adjusted frame of consciousness to get to it. And that's why I think a lot of abductions are not, some of them are physical, I know I've seen them, but some of them are not. Some of them are done through consciousness, and some of them, here's one you won't have heard before, sometimes you abduct yourself. Okay. as crazy as that sounds. And that kind of connection, again, goes through this central point, but it's your own higher self. It's your own higher self kind of calling you in off the substitute bench, and saying, stop, freeze, we need to have a conversation. I'm the boss, you're not, so I'm bringing you up here, and we're going to talk about your direction in life, the things you're doing, the things you know, the things that you don't know, and the things that you should know. And then it beams you back down again through this still point back to your conscious being. And then maybe something's happened and maybe you don't. So how's that for you so far? Am I talking too quickly? Am I getting too weird?
No, I'm listening. I thought I was really when you were talking about sometimes we abduct ourselves. I was going to ask you a question, which you exactly like what that meant. I'm not sure if it means the same. I did, like if it's something that you say that we maybe don't say in the U.S. or what I guess the meaning was for that.
Well, it's not really an abduction at all. It's a connection. You're always connected to your spirit, because if you weren't, you'd be dead. But some
or you would be some of the other people, that I suspect are not among the real living, that are here residing here. But
I think you're right. I mean, some of them you do wonder if they're ensouled, because when you look in their eyes, it's just kind of like an empty space, it's just hollow. But assuming that you are born with a spirit and you're not some kind of AI hologram or a servant of something bad, you should have a spirit that is functional. And when you connect with it consciously, you're capable of doing an awful lot. Now, I think some of the great men and women in history have had more of a connection with that than a lot of other people have. And I think one obviously very clear example of that was Einstein, who said that most of his ideas didn't come to him when he's in a laboratory. They came to him when he was just sitting there daydreaming. And the Beatles as well. I think some of their music, without wanting to detract anything from the brilliance of the songwriting, some of their stuff simply came from nowhere. We know for a fact, by his own admission, Paul McCartney wrote Yesterday while he was asleep. The music to Yesterday, which is the most covered song in the history of the world, incidentally, no other song has ever had more people record it, came to him in a dream. Came quite literally from nowhere. Now, there's only one way that can happen. He connected with his higher self. And I don't believe in channeling. I don't think channeling is a good idea. As in channeling with another spirit, a foreign spirit, one that's not your own. Doesn't matter how evolved or how powerful that spirit claims to be. I think it's an unhealthy practice. I think.
What about spiritual guides? What if it was through, I guess it depends on how you look at like your spiritual guides. Is it all, are we all one? Are we all source? What are there's so many different takes on consciousness and, Christ consciousness and to the point of, I guess I'm just wondering what your belief system is on the back end of that.
We all come from one place,
Okay.
Two universes collided 14 billion years ago, and they formed something called the Big Bang. You're living in it now. This is it. People talk about it like in the past context, as though it's something that happened all that time ago and then finished. Actually, it didn't finish. It's ongoing. And I think consciousness, that same divine source, that, center of the spider's web, it was already there, long before that universe came into being, which means there is no us and them. We all come from the same place, right? So E.T. is you and you're E.T. Sasquatch is you and you're him. Rocks, plants, trees, planets, galaxies, they all came from a single root source. And there's no getting away from that. It doesn't matter, what you believe. You can only come from the source of all consciousness and all life. So I don't know if that answers the question or not, but
Yeah.
I think, if you had a past life being this or a future life being that, it's not really in the past and it's not really in the future. It's now. Because if you could find your way back into that center point in time and do it consciously and deliberately, which is, of course, the hard part, doing it
Right.
spontaneously because you pass out or took some drugs or crashed your car or whatever it was that you did, that's one thing. But doing it consciously and deliberately, that's something else. If you can get to that, then you can be in the conscious mind of that other person again. So your historic self 200 years ago or 1,000 years from now that flies around in a UFO, you are already that. It's happening now. And the one you were, that's happening now. Because the only part of that spider's web that is real is the middle part. That's the part where there is all of the energy and all of the action. And if you can get to that middle part and look out, you can be those people or consciously experience what that entity is experiencing by a deliberate act of conscious thought.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So, would you say that so your parents had ET experiences? It sounds like you have a very strong connection to the paranormal. Is that fair to say?
I think that's a
Do you
very fair
see
thing to say.
Yeah, are you and I know that I'll get into, like, you being a shaman and all that other stuff. Do you think I mean, like, what is your connection to spirit? Like, I grew up being able to see them. I was, quote, unquote, "your channeler," but I too don't like them coming that close. I will not let them get that close to me, but that's how I kind of had learned. But, yeah, so I'm just curious to what your, you know, uh, background is like on that.
Um, they're always around. I've worked as a psychic, but I've tended to use like animal medicine cards. My real affinity is more with the bird and animal kingdoms, and I tend to get a lot of spiritual connections to that sort of thing. I'll talk about that more later on. But the sorry, what was your question again? What's
Yes,
my
what's
what?
your yeah, what your, I guess, connection is to the paranormal, and I guess how do you experience
Was
it? How do you
100%. And when I was a little kid, I saw things other people didn't see, and I could do things they couldn't do. And sometimes you learn that the hard way.
Right.
I remember we were playing Cowboys and Indians one day, and I was about, that big. And I decided to do a Hollywood thing, and this is a really stupid thing to do. I mean, I decided to smear my hand with tomato ketchup to make it look like I'd been shot. What kids are like.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the very, very next day, I was messing with a bonfire and this old car steering wheel, which is made of this horrible kind of hard plastic. It fell off and it burned the back of my hand in exactly the spot where I'd put that ketchup. You could have got a felt tip pen and you could have drawn a line around it. It was absolutely identical. Now it was literally a baptism of fire, but it illustrated the point. I thought, hang on a minute, Jack, that hurts, but you did that. You made that happen. So if you can make that happen, what else can you do? Is the obvious question. Even when you're this big, you think, I did that. What else can I do? I then started seeing spirit, in clouds, especially these native peoples. And this is where I have to backtrack because my father's story especially is linked directly to my own. Okay. So we saw the same thing, but we saw it many years apart. Now, we're talking the year World War II broke out. Big age difference between me and my folks, incidentally, and also a big age difference between my father and my mother. When he's an 18-year-old ready to go off to war, she's a little 8-year-old adoptee. So they didn't know each other. This will become apparent later on why I have to mention that. And dear old Dad, he was a very strange man. I mean, he slept hardly at all, got up at ridiculous hours, and if you looked in an encyclopedia under the word redneck, there'd probably be a picture of him. You know, he was that guy. He had a shotgun under his arm, a dog running along beside him. He chewed on a piece of straw. There's no yesterday, there's no tomorrow. There's here and there's now, and that's it. He never worried about a damn thing a day in his life. And he's up at 3:30 in the morning. Again, this is quite close to Rendlesham. It's just up the road from Rendlesham in a little Suffolk village called Colton, which is 2 or 3 miles south of Lowestoft. And he lives in a little cottage in a place called Clark's Lane, and over the other side of that there's a 4-ways, and it goes across in a place called Burnt Hill Lane, which is now a nature reserve. And it's already sun up. It's midsummer, around solstice. Now, the reason I emphasize this is because normal people don't get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, but my father wasn't normal. And he decides time to go and move his herd of cattle from one grazing pasture to another. Off he goes, and suddenly this bright sunshiny day turns black, and he thinks nothing of it. This is storm cloud, and then he turns blue. Now it's not storm cloud, is it? And he looks up, and there is the mother of all UFOs, the size of a city, going straight over the top of him at what he described a very pedestrian pace, a walking pace. And it has a very distinctive feature. It has an equal arm blue cross. And it's at the center of this blue cross that this light is coming down on him. He doesn't get any of the bad stuff that most of us get. He doesn't get any of the side effects. But if he tries to step out of this blue beam, he can't. He's not paralyzed, but the beam will track with him like a stage light. So if he moves to the right, the beam moves. If he moves backwards, the beam moves with him. And eventually, this thing moves away. Okay? And as it moves away, it leaves him with a message of sorts. And it's not anything verbal, it's more like a feeling. And it's like, bad times are coming. Don't worry. You will be okay. Right? Well, everybody knew bad times were coming because the newspaper headlines, the radio is all full of this fella called Hitler. And a couple of months later, war is declared. Dad joins the army straight away. And he's almost straight after that, a few months after that, he's in a place called Suffolk railway station. Don't look for it on a map because I haven't got a railway station anymore. He suddenly gets a bad feeling. All right, there's no reason for it, but he gets this same blue thing that was on the bottom of this craft. He now sees it here in his head, there, like where his third eye would be. He slides underneath a parked train with his kit bag. The next thing you know, boom, the whole station explodes and there's like dozens of people killed. Dear old Dad, he rolls out from underneath that train, hasn't got a mark on him. And the place is trashed. It's all fire and smoke and everything. He hasn't got a mark on him. Now, he has a kind of quiet time for a year or so on coastal defense. And then he's sent to the Far East. And the same day that the Japanese hit Pearl Harbor, they hit the British colony, as it was then, of Malaya. And my father is there, defending the coast against the Japanese. There's way too many of them, and they fall back into the jungle. Here it comes again. This kind of, itchy nose, itch on the forehead. Dad knows something ain't right, and other than the bombs and bullets flying everywhere, there's something isn't right. Officer flags him down. He's driving a thing called a Bren gun carrier, which is, it's a tank with no turret. It's an open top tank with machine guns poking out the side. And this British officer, Major, I think, says, come here, I want you to drive me up here. And there are 2 tracks in front. And Dad says, no, I'm not doing that. You do not get to say no to a superior officer under fire. No. He says, and you shouldn't go up there either. Now, because it's in the middle of a battle, this guy doesn't have time to argue with him. So he flags down a truck. Officer jumps on the sideboard of the truck. They go off up this track. Boom. They're dead. They're blown to bits. Dad takes the other track, the one that his instinct tells him to take. He travels a mile up that track. So he would be dead now if he'd carried out that order, right? And I wouldn't be here talking to you. He goes up and he hits the clutch on a sharp bend, drops his head beneath the level of the armor like this. And just as his head drops below the armor, single shot from a sniper. Dad's covered in blood. I'm allowed to say blood, it's Halloween. You know. His co-driver is shot through the neck with a bullet that was clearly intended for him as the driver, and he has to shrug this guy off of him. Now, we're in a jungle, thousands of trees. Dad points to one, and he says to his gun crews, that tree. Turn every gun in this carrier on that tree, shoot it to pieces, and they do. You know, all these Bren guns all turn. That Jap sniper was sitting in that tree, and when he hits the floor, they've turned him to dog meat. You know, how did he know? How could he possibly know, in a jungle full of trees, which tree had the sniper that tried to kill him? Anyway, he gets captured. He comes through the whole Burma Railroad of Death thing, gets taken off to Japan. He's in Tokyo when the nukes drop elsewhere. The guys who were there when the nukes drop all end up getting transported into his camp. He's got malaria. He gets put on a ship to come, an American ship, by the way, USS Rescue, for anyone wants to look it up. He watches the surrender, MacArthur and all that. Now, coming home, he's got friendly, this is Dad all over, with an American nurse. And they're meeting, shall we say, quietly in the early hours of the morning, somewhere between Tokyo and Manila Bay in the Pacific in the early hours of the morning, and this thing comes back. This huge saucer with the blue underside, all right, comes back and it flies straight over the ship, and this time he's got the nurse there with him, and it goes, and he says, I could have swore blind that damn thing said I told you so. So it's come immediately before the war and it's come immediately after the war. Now, fast forward to 20 years or so, no, it'd be more than that, and I've arrived. Okay, I'll be backtracking in a minute, but these two bits go together. I used to sit in a tree, an apple tree, and it was just the right shape for a little kid to sit in. You know, the branches were just formed they formed almost like a chair or a bed, and that's where I used to do my cloud watching, and I would look at these spirit people, and on this particular day, there weren't any, and I'm something's wrong here. You know, the sky is dead. Everything feels quiet. I don't know, I don't like this. Something feels unnatural. There's this thing. It wasn't right close like it was with him. It didn't go straight over my head. It was kind of in the distance. And flew over, and everything slowed down. I knew it was this, because not at the time I didn't, because he hadn't told me any of this, and he would not disclose any of this until just before he died, because officially my father was a skeptic. Unofficially, he was an experiencer as accomplished as anyone that's ever been on here. but I look up and everything slows down, and I thought, if I wanted to, I could put my hand straight through that branch. It was like watching a video on slow. Everything was just like a dream. Now, I didn't have the same luck that he had. I mean, it had the blue cross on the underside. My feeling was like when you skim a stone over water. It hits the water, it bounces, it hits the water, it bounces again. Now, I'm willing to bet that whoever was on that UFO, or whatever you want to call it, if they had just made a cup of coffee when they saw my father, it was still hot by the time they saw me. I don't think they went flying off to the future or Zeta Reticuli or wherever the hell flying saucers go. I think they touched linear time like a skimming stone on water. They came away and then they skimmed and hit it again, and that's when they saw me. But I didn't get off quite so light as he did. I did like a lot of nosebleeds, and they went on for years and years and years. I'd just be sitting there and blood suddenly coming out of my nose. I hate even thinking about it. And I developed insomnia, and for instance, it's now coming up 2 o'clock in the morning, and this is normal for me. I don't even bother going to bed. I've never been able to sleep at night, so I don't even try. I can kind of sleep during the day-ish, but I don't even bother going to bed, so being on American shows suits me down to the ground. Yeah.
What time is it there? By the way, what time is it there?
It's 10 to 2 in the morning.
Oh, 10 to, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's 10 to 2 in the morning. And if it had been this time last week, it'd be 10 to 3, because our clocks go back a week before yours. So we've narrowed the gap a little bit, but the gap will open up again next weekend when your clocks bounce, backwards. Anyway, come back to Mum. Remember that there is, this 10-year age gap between them, so they don't know each other. They can't compare notes. That's the point. She lives on the adjoining farm. All right, they're side by side. There's the one where my father had the cattle that he mowed and his Blue Cross UFO, and then there's the next one along, which is now a golf course. And she is, to all intents and purposes, a war orphan. It's not quite that straightforward, but we'll call her that for the sake of simplicity. There's a bombing raid in Lowestoft, and a restaurant gets blown up, and a mother is killed, and another little girl becomes a war orphan who became my Auntie Doreen. And my mother's now got a stepsister, because the same people who adopted my mother adopted this girl Doreen, so they become like little girls growing up together as sisters. And they're in this country cottage, and it's very remote down there in the middle of nowhere. Okay, and this is wartime. They're growing up in this lovely rural place, and they used to play on this little game. It's called a bagatelle. I think you can still get them. They're made out of plastic now, but in those days they were made out of glass and wood. And the idea was that you had these little metal ball bearing things, and you had to shake them into the slots without spilling the ones that you'd already scored. I don't know, have you ever seen one of those? Anyway, they're still around somewhere. And they used to play with this thing, and then they used to go to bed and go to sleep, and that was the end of that. Anyway, on this particular night, this is the height of the Blitz. This is when England's getting hit pretty hard. 40, 41, 42. There are German air raids every day, especially on Lowestoft, because we built ships there. It's a shipbuilding plant, so they took a particular interest in our area. They're always hitting the place. Anyway, they go to bed. Mum wakes up in the middle of the night, and this bagatelle, these marbles, are moving by themselves. They're just rattling at first, and you'd think it's a ghost thing. It's just a kind of rattle, 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 and there's a blue light coming in through the window. And Mum, now Doreen, her sister, who is 2 years younger than her, she doesn't wake up, which is odd because this thing starts to get loud because kind of like in those poltergeist movies,
Oh, those, yeah.
it starts to get intense. You know, that this thing isn't just shake, it's you know, and
Oh, yeah.
then suddenly it flies up in the air, hits the ceiling, and kind of explodes. And you know, there is definitely somebody trying to tell you something. So
Right?
you know,
Yeah,
Mum
they
goes,
may be trying to get a hold of you.
yeah, there may be a message here. You know,
Right, for sure.
bang,
So we have
you know.
before we go into we do have to 5-minute break for the top of the hour. I'm gonna put this over onto the radio side when we are all complete. Did you want, I mean, I have a couple minutes if you want to just kind of, and then we'll pick up where you left off. I just wanted to give you a heads up so you didn't get into something like to then kind of forget, or you know, a topic that maybe you would just rather wait until after break to start. But
I'll finish this thread.
sure.
Okay, I can finish this thread quickly if I got time for that.
Yes.
Mum goes to the window. She looks down, and you're never going to hear this one before or again. All right. There is a circle of rats, and you heard that right. There is a circle of rats on the lawn outside, and in the middle of this rat circle is a big rat, and he's talking to the other rats. And even worse, they seem to know what he's talking about. They seem to understand him. This rat is going around the circle like, you know, like a politician. Can I say that? Yes.
Yeah, you can say that. I'll
I can
agree to that.
definitely liken a politician to a rat. Anyway, then this is a big rat who suddenly turns round and looks up at Mum. And as this rat turns and looks, guess what? The whole circle of rats turn and look at Mum. And she's, you know, she backs away, goes to bed, wakes up the next day. She is as sick as hell. She can't get out of bed. She has to stay there. My grandfather's a very strict man, but he allows it because she's that bad. The next day, she wakes up at 5 p.m. in the evening. Her sister, who's younger than her in a different class, she comes in tears, and she says, "The Germans bombed the school today. They hit Marjorie's classroom. If she had been there, she would have been killed." So whether that rat circle, my mother described it as a fairy circle of rats. She never mentioned the word E.T. She called it a fairy circle of rats. Whether you can argue that it was part of the illness, that she had a fever, you can say it was a hallucination, you can say it was real. Maybe it was a real talking rat. Whatever it was, it saved her life. You know, because that school, the bomb actually fell in the playground outside, and it brought an oak beam down, and the whole ceiling caved in, and the one desk that was completely destroyed was the empty desk that my mother would have been sitting at.
Wow. Wow. And I wanted to tell you in chat, there's been some cool stuff being said. MadPack777 wanted you to know that he grew up on stories and listening to World War II. And my grandfather was 1st Division Marine Corps, and he was in all those. I learned, you know, so much. We grew up. I mean, literally every single day till probably the day he died were those, you know, those stories that were so important that he held near and dear. So that was amazing to listen to some of that, and you know, kind of it definitely brought me back in time. So that was very cool.
I got a belt hanging up over there. It's a Marine Corps belt, because my father actually came home from the war in an American uniform, because that's all there was. There weren't any British involved in the liberation. And he witnessed MacArthur sign over the Japanese surrender wearing that belt. I'll bring it out in the second half.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, very cool.
That's the real deal.
Wow.
Do you want to go for your break now? Or
Yeah,
do you need
we're getting close to the top of the hour, so we're gonna go ahead and we are just gonna take a couple minute break just because we are adding back on to the radio stations. So with that being said, we'll see you here shortly. So it's just gonna be
Unraveling the mystery, secrets in the night. We travel through the cosmos, ready for the flight. Together we'll shine, casting shadows aside. In the heart of the rhythm where our dreams collide.
Join the Subnation X quest, the truth is our guide in the vast expanse. It's where we reside, hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the grooves around us, everything's alright.
From the Subnation X quest, the truth is our guide in the vast expanse. It's where we reside, hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the grooves surround us, everything's alright. SNX radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spots. Heavy bass drops with tight beats.
Illuminate the shadows, the echo of our call.
On this roller ring will never fall.
Feel the energy rising, can you sense the spark? As we dive deeper into the cosmic arc.
Stories of the
weird. Welcome back, everybody. And you're probably wondering who we got on stage with us, but I've never quite had something end like that before, so I don't know. Everybody can hear me. Everybody's mute to unmute. So let's see. I can't get Gian. Are you able to unmute your mic? Everybody else is welcome back to the second part of SNX Radio. Tonight I have with us Solomon Jax. Sorry, I'm looking over and trying to do 2 things at once. So yeah, we had some interesting we were definitely getting going, deep diving, and to Boundless in Authenticity podcast. Would you like to introduce yourself? If you can hear us. Hopefully you can. No. If not,
Well, first of all, can you hear me?
oh yeah, no, we can
I don't
hear
know how
you.
this thing works.
No, you got it. We had
Okay.
yes. So we're live.
Okay, yeah, cool. Well,
Yeah, I just wanted
thanks.
you to introduce yourself and who you are, where to find you, how cool you are.
Yeah,
I've been on his show before, so it's I saw
yeah,
him
I'm
in
having
there.
trouble.
Can you
Yeah, I'm
hear
trying to
okay?
figure out what's going on here. There's a bit of a lag for me. It's probably on my end.
Oh, that's okay. Maybe it might be to catch up, but do you want to just go ahead and tell everybody who you are, and then we can go from there. We can fix it from there. I can see what I can do on this end.
Okay, I am the host of the Boundless Authentic podcast, where we discuss everything related to the evolution of human consciousness. I guess the other information, it starts with a question: what if pretty much only half the story? I pretty much stick to all the raw, unfiltered stuff that the mainstream, especially YouTube, does not like. So we'll see how long this lasts after having me on here. You can find the podcast on Spreaker, Spotify, Apple, Rumble, and sometimes YouTube when they're not mad at me for saying things that they don't approve. And
Oh yeah.
that's about it, really.
Awesome. And so we are going to welcome back, with that being said, Solomon Jax. And so why don't you get back into it? And you just have two people. I just wanted you to meet our Boundless Authenticity podcast host.
Yeah, hey
Is it me
Solomon.
now?
I was trying to
It's your turn.
say hey to
Yeah.
everything. My microphone was working.
You want me to take it from here, or is this guy?
Yeah, no, get back into it. And we'll just
Yeah.
kind of pick up where you left off, and then we can go from there.
Quite some time ago, I was in a meditation group. Took up, transcendental meditation, and there's a reason why I mention this. It was very powerful stuff, but I only did the beginner's course. It still was very, very good stuff, and that's the one that most people do, and they leave it at that. But there was another girl in our group, a married woman, bit older than me, and she went on something that they called the city course, and that's pretty close to Rendlesham as well, but it's gone now. The Maharishi, the guy who the Beatles went to see, he closed down all of that stuff in England. He fell out with us after one of the wars in the Middle East. Anyway, it was still there then, and she went away for a weekend advanced meditation course, and I think she went on a Thursday and came back on a Sunday night, something like that. And it's kind of exhausting. It's a very intense course, and she decides that she's going to take a bath, right? And I know there's other people living in the house as well as her husband, and she goes in the bathroom. Now, because there's other people who live in the place, she locks the door and she turns on both taps full. And then she suddenly realizes that she's left a towel on the banister outside. And without thinking, she just kind of reaches out and she has the towel in her hand. But the problem is she's now standing outside of the bathroom, not inside. The door is locked from the inside, and the taps are running and they're going to flood the house. So she has literally teleported through solid matter because of this, obviously, this thing she'd been doing, and because she was half asleep, she's in this kind of hello, I've gone black. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can.
My screen's gone black. Can you still hear me? I'm
Yeah,
back again.
I can hear you and see you.
Yeah, I disappeared off the screen there for a minute. Anyway, that must be her coming back in spirit or something. She has to scream to her husband to come and... Oh, no, you've disappeared. And kick the door down. And he says, well, how did this happen? I've now had to kick the bolt off the door to turn the taps off. She has no answer. Nobody has any answer. The reason I mention this is because there were no witches, no UFOs, no stargates, no nothing involved. Just this. All right. This was done at a purely human, purely spiritual level. Somebody walked through a solid wall. Now, think where that leaves the whole subject. This was not a guru. This was not a holy man or a holy woman, or this was not a messiah. This was an everyday, ordinary person who had learned a technique that had freed a part of their mind that enabled them to walk through a wall. Now, you just imagine the kind of potential that leaves inside of each and every single one of us if you can get to that place that I was talking about before, that still point, that calm area where the waves do this. We all have it. We're all able to do it. Of course, the other way to do it is madness. A lot of the greatest people who've ever lived have been kind of crazy. I'm a big fan of Arthurian legend. I've written a lot of songs about Arthurian legend. In fact, I'm writing one now. It's called Jewel of Avalon. And Merlin, very famously, he was born a magician. I think all people are born magicians. They're never made magicians. But it wasn't until after he went off into the wilderness and went mad that he then came back with the power that everybody would know him for as being, you know, the wizard of legend, because he had to kind of give up that part of his conscious, sane mind to access that spot, that still point, you know, to get to that magical place where the real good stuff, you know, the force flows through you. And then he had it all. He had that kind of death and rebirth. The Native American peoples do it. They call it vision quest. They normally do that when they're about 12, 13 years old, if they follow a traditional path. Their grandfather will take them out into the wilderness, put them in a hammock. They don't eat, they don't sleep, they may have a little bit of water, and they're exposed to the elements. And the idea is you don't sleep. And because you don't sleep, you slowly find that the mind, which is clinging to this level a little too tightly, is forced to let go. It doesn't have any choice. You know, it has to give up its grip. Can't help itself. But there's no drugs involved. There's no drink involved. There's no chemicals involved. It's just a lack of sleep and a lack of food. And then they should get their vision. And within that vision should come their name. I mean, very, very famously, Crazy Horse, you know, got his name that way. Am I still talking too much? Does this other guy want to get a word in edgeways, or shall I carry on?
No, we're just listening. He's
Okay.
he's used to giving interviews too, so he'll. I'm sure when he's
Okay.
got questions,
Anyway,
yeah, we're tag teaming up on you. You're still the guest.
quite some time ago, I was offered a job on an oil rig. Again, back in the 80s. Now, this is just not the kind of thing that I do. I mean, look at me. Do I look like a steward on an oil rig? Do I look like a roughneck? Like somebody who should be drilling holes in the sea for oil? No. But a friend of mine, I suppose you'd call him that, his father was kind of desperate for crew. And, you know, ask all your friends, get it, whoever you can, from wherever you can, and just get onto that chopper and get them out in the middle of the North Sea, so that I get my quota up. Oh, I want to do this. I absolutely do not want to do this. And almost like with a gun to my head, all right, I'll get on the damn helicopter and we'll go and spend 3 weeks in the middle of the North Sea. And hardly slept at all. You know, I mean, I was housed or billeted right next to one of the generators. So it's all through the middle of the night. You know, even if you weren't an insomniac, you're still not going to sleep. Anyway, 3 weeks of this, and you come home in a very, very different state of mind to what you went out. Okay, and at that time, I was living in the town of Lowestoft, and I started to get some very, very heavy visionary experiences. And it always began the same way. It's very kind of small at first, and it was a red bar and a blue bar. And sometimes the red one was at the top, and sometimes the blue one was at the bottom, and sometimes it was the other way around. But there was always this kind of orb, and it was red and blue. Never any other color. It was always red and blue. And this started to become more persistent. It became difficult to get rid of. You know, it was like, even if I blinked and shook my head, this orb was there, you know. And I thought, am I going crazy? And especially when I got into bed at night, this thing would appear right in front of me, and it was getting bigger, and it was becoming clearer and more distinct. And I was starting to get kind of nervy about it. I thought, I know that this is an opening to somewhere or something. And I started to get imagery behind it. Where the red and the blue met, there was a gap starting to open up, and there was something inside that gap, and whatever it was silver, but I couldn't get any detail to begin with. And this went on for 2 or 3 weeks, and there was this medium guy, a professional medium, come knocking on the door one day saying that, he's asking my then girlfriend, what the hell was going on here last night? I was picking up on all this stuff going on in your house, and I was seeing all this stuff from Atlantis and the Egyptian gods, and, visions of pyramids and God knows what. And anyway, that night, something happened. This thing, it opened all the way up. And it opened up, and I had my eyes fully open, and I couldn't shake it off. And it just did this. It opened up all the way. The red and the blue went, and I could see a city. This city was not like anything here on Earth. The predominant color was silver. There were people in this place, and they were traveling around it was like a board, almost like a giant skateboard, but these things flew, and people are just flying on these kind of powered. They didn't even have skateboards then, so there was no such thing as a skateboard back then. But people were traveling around on these, and in these little orbs, and the cities. All of the buildings were kind of encapsulated in like domes, and then there was a much bigger dome over the top of all of the others, and I was aware of all manner of presence, and I could see people, and the people were, well, I don't suppose they were really like us. They had a kind of a silverish hue to them. They were thinner than humans. They were taller than humans. They were humanoid, but they were silver. Everything seemed to be silver. And I said, look, guys, I appreciate the offer. I'm not ready for this, because I got a very distinct feeling that this was an invite. There's another invite comes later on, which I'll tell you about if you remind me. But this was, make your mind up. We've gone to a lot of time and trouble to open this. Would you like to come through? And I thought, I'm very tempted by that, but I'm not sure that I'd be able to get back again. If I go through this portal, who's to say what's going to happen to me or my corporeal body on this side of the veil? I said, no, you need to stop this. And it just stopped. It literally, it was like someone slammed the door. The whole thing just shut down like that. The red and the blue came back, and the whole thing just went. And I thought, that's the end of it. I thought, thank God for that. I mean, it was an invitation. It never felt threatening or sinister or dangerous, but it was kind of overpowering, and I think it was largely brought on by what we were talking about earlier on, the sleep deprivation. And I thought that was it, but the very next night...
So Solomon, let me jump in here real quick.
Go ahead.
So
yeah?
I have 2 questions. You say you feel it was an invitation. What specifically was the invitation to?
To enter, to go through that portal.
Okay, to enter, and
yeah,
and from entering this portal into this place, what insights or changes to your consciousness do you think were supposed to happen or did happen?
I ended a very difficult period after that. I'll never really know what was supposed to happen, because I didn't accept. I didn't go through there. But it didn't finish there because something happened the next night. I thought it was all over with. I thought it's all done with, but it wasn't. And the very next night, I went to bed, and literally as I shut my eyes, there was a UFO appeared directly above me. At an astral level. It wasn't. There was no UFO physically in my bedroom, but I saw this disc thing with glowing lights all the way around it, and this time there was a white light, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it came down and it covered me, and then I opened my eyes, and it was 9 o'clock the next morning. But I did not feel as if I'd slept. I didn't feel like I'd rested. It was literally, you blink and there's a light, you finish blinking and you're back. And that was it. It all stopped after that. Now, the trail took a very different twist after that. I started getting correspondence, snail mail correspondence from a girl I'd met a few years earlier who lived in Hollywood, and who spent a lot of time on reservations, spent time with the Hopi and the Navajo, sort of thing. And she invited me to go out there and spend some time with her. And things were not going swimmingly well with the situation that I was in. And in the end, I accepted. And I flew off. I lived in California for a few months, and then I spent some time on a reservation. And I kind of had a feeling that those things were linked. I felt that portal opening up was like somebody's way of saying, whatever happens, wherever you're going to go, you're not going to be staying here. Something else is waiting for you, something bigger than this. It's time to move on. So if there was a message, that was it. It's time to go somewhere else. And that was a hell of an experience living up there on the Four Corners, the Hopi. I've always had like an affinity with animals, and especially, it's funny, with ants. I love ants. I would never kill an ant. And I was looking at some ants while I was up there, and one of these guys come along and he says, Anu. I said, what's that? He said, ant. So Hopi word apparently for ant is Anu. But it also means friend. Okay, so ant and friend mean the same thing. Sounds a hell of a lot like Anunnaki, doesn't it? And Hopi have this tradition where they believe that there was a global cataclysm, and these ant people, as they call them, took them underground for shelter, and they were able to survive it and then resurface from somewhere in the region of the Grand Canyon, and to start again. Well, I don't get really strong sort of ET contacts like some people do. Not the kind where I can sit and talk to them like I'm talking to you, but I do get very strong impressions of them. And the commonest one is of an ant-like being. Insectoid, the typical mantis as well. They don't seem to say very much. They don't seem to do very much. But they're not usually the praying mantis head. They're more like an ant. They're like an ant person, if you like. I don't know why they're there, and I don't know why they always visit me at night, but I see them all the time. If anybody's got any kind of psychic perception as to what they want or why they're there, I'd be all ears. I'd absolutely love to hear it.
How often are you being contacted?
All the time, almost every day. But
is it like, what is contact? Can you kind of like, I know, like, so does we both actually know James Gillian really well, and he's utmost like has contact with the different types, and he does things like that. So how do they typically initiate contact? And I guess you're having a problem communicating with them. Is that what I'm understanding you say?
My feeling is it's something to do with the music that I write, because I'm not a natural clairvoyant in the sense that I was when I was a child. When I was a child, I was much more open, but as I got older, I became much more stressed, and the sort of sleep problems started to get to me. So I tend to, channel spiritual power into creativity, into writing music.
That makes
And
sense.
I've had a very strong feeling that I've been getting a strong shove, a strong push with that. I'm sure of it.
So you don't like, I guess when you communicate with them, are you able to communicate like telepathically? Are you able to get any of what they're sometimes they send pictures, sometimes they send it's all
Yeah.
usually done through the prefrontal cortex. So they're able to get messages across to you.
If they do, they must be very vague messages, because
They
I
are.
never seem to consciously remember them. It usually happens when I'm getting into bed at night and I first shut my eyes, and I suddenly get a face right
Hmm.
there, and there's this kind of, it sounds crazy, but there's this kind of ant-like creature just looking straight back at me. I do see the
Sure.
greys sometimes, and I've met them, in Rendlesham and places like that. But usually it's these other guys, and the last week or two, I've had this female reptilian who turns up all the time. Again, they don't seem to say anything. It's almost like they're just reminding you of their presence, reminding you that they're there, and that you've got something that you should be doing that involves them. And
Yo, yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Yeah.
the
But
only
I
thing I can
guess I'm
put that,
wondering if you're asking like what your intention is. Like, are you asking them? I can give you ways to stay more conscious. I worked on them for several times when I was in the height of my ET contact, that I wanted so badly just to remember a full, contact event. And then that's kind of not the way that it works, but there are ways that you can ground yourself. You can come more in tune with your senses and what you smell, what you feel, but you have to really put a lot through in your daytime, like to continuously like consciously think about it, set alarms even, like when I am on board ship, it's just kind of like, because you're going into autopilot mode and you want to stay as conscious and aware that you can throughout your day and make conscious decisions and not just go into the programming, if that makes sense.
I know exactly what you mean. And one of the problems of what I do, I mean, I know how much of this room you can see is, it is absolutely packed with technology. I mean, this looks like Mission Control Houston. I mean, there are computers and speakers and screens and instruments and electronic devices absolutely everywhere in here,
I can
and I
appreciate
feel that
that.
that's a big part of the problem. That really does get in the way. I know that it does.
Have you
But
asked DT, like, okay, so when I was going through, I asked him, I said, why am I here? Why is this happening? And their answer was that I was here for communication and that this was my mission that I was given. So I was like, here for communication, like, I mean, couldn't you be more vague if you tried or you wanted to? But I think that's a part of it, that they're not going to give you necessarily those answers, but they're going to give you the path to find the answers and to find the truth. I don't think that they can intervene in so many things like we think they can. I think there's definitely laws and rules to all of this.
I don't think
So
they
I
would
want to
want
jump in
to.
here and say something to Solomon too that might be very
Go ahead.
validating because um, I see the same. Well, I don't know if they're the same entities, but I have the same experience that you have. Sometimes I close my
Oh,
eyes
really?
and I see these beings, and the way that they look at you is almost as if they can't believe that you can actually see them too. In a lot of instances, not every time, but there is this thing where they're kind of looking to see who you are, what they can uh, what they can extract from you, or they want to tell you stuff or just transmit things to you. In 2021, I wrote a couple pieces of music that were inspired um, in that way by these beings, and
Oh,
even
and
the
you're
album
both into
cover mentioned it.
music. Oh, this makes sense. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. And so throughout my entire life, I have also felt as though the compositions that I've written were given to me, if you would use that language, by something outside of me. Whereas other songwriters would try to very linearly and logically create things. I would just get sometimes a full song, or sometimes you just get the chorus, or you get like a really great guitar riff, and then it's almost like when you go to because you know how it is, Solomon. You get an idea, and then you run towards whatever instrument you can find to try to make sure you get it. Otherwise, if you don't, you lose it. But when you get that stream and you lock into that stream, it's almost like it's just constantly feeding to you within a logical progression, and you know exactly what instruments to put where, how you want the
Wow.
drums to sound if there's drums and things like that. It's all automatic, and it's not something that um, I think even the word channel covers. And I think that sometimes when you see like lawsuits and stuff in the court, and they're like, oh, this person stole this riff or whatever, it's because these beings want this information to come through, and they'll give it to whoever's willing to make it. Whoever puts it out first is who kind of um, is gonna get it, But then sometimes other people get it and they don't release it, or whatever the case is, and then you end up squabbling in court over who owns this piece of music. But it doesn't belong to this plane; it belongs to some interdimensional plane elsewhere. That's what I figured out. And
Well,
quite
I carry
frankly,
that.
just to
Just froze up.
He must have froze up. So I forgot you both are musicians on top of everything. So yeah, I'm sure you can really relate a lot to that.
I
What he
can,
was saying.
but I never ever once got the feeling, except for one time that a song came when I was asleep over at a place called the Gelderston Locks. I've never felt that they helped with the music. I don't think that they say, well, you know what, here's a drum pattern or a guitar riff, and if you do this, it'll help you. I think I write those. What comes more from those, the ET, is more like an urgency. It's more the feeling of basically getting a kick up the ass. It's like, you are not doing enough. You need to do more. Get this out there. It's being pushed, motivated. To make sure that you don't fall asleep at the wheel, and that you get the job done, and that the lyrics especially reflect that. I'm pretty certain that I am the only person in the world at this time who has written a song about a woman being abducted by a praying mantis.
Oh wow.
And when I played this to some friends of mine, and they laughed, they say it's a great song, but I can't see it being a hit. You just don't turn on the radio and hear a song about somebody being abducted by a mantis being. It's called The Shape of Love, by the way.
Oh, would you like to share it with the audience?
I don't know where I'd get it from right now. It's not on this computer, it's on that one, and bear in mind,
Is it like a file, like if you shared a screen or something, or you could give me a link, I could pull it?
I can send it to you.
Okay, there's a chat. Are you talking about a link? There's a chat that is private. If you see it next to on the side, it's not the one that's going out to in the group chat, but it's like a private chat. You could send it there if you wanted me to send that.
It's on this machine. I could pull it from somewhere. I'd have to transfer it across.
Oh yeah, Spiderbite saying do it live.
That would be kind of impossible. It is too involved for that. But I could say, you'd need too much instrumentation for that.
Can you do something live for us? Would you be able to do something live?
I do something live?
Yeah.
I probably could.
Oh, okay, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Spiderbite, we're gonna get some. Yeah.
Kind of what I'm working on at the moment. I had a funny feeling you were going to say this. and I'm probably going to forget the words because this is brand new. All right. Now, there are people in this world who will say, that's not a new song. They say, because I remember you doing that riff years and years ago. Well, there's a song called Jewel of Avalon, but it got buried. And I don't think I might have gone out of tune. The song got buried in history somewhere. It was never recorded. So it got forgotten. And basically what happened is I had to write it again. I had to start again. I had to write a chorus and a new lyric. And I kind of thought this might be something that might fit a show like this. It's not perfectly in tune, it'll have to do for now. Turn it up a little bit better than that. There's the culprit. That's fixed it. Burning skies paint the night. A star is born into the void. Another falls into the halls of mystery, and the web it trembles, yes it trembles, as it ends, the spiral begins, and the snake sheds his skin, the one on the outside, now he walks within. And the web it trembles, yes it trembles. I am the future, a distant star, fell to earth here in the past, drawn into an amethyst flame, a prophecy that wrote itself in you, my jewel of Avalon. All of you who would know secrets told in ages past, a weaving of destiny. Oh, but my words fell upon deaf ears. Your answer lives inside the question. I gave a king what he asked. It came at a price. Everything does. Placed a sword within a stone to be drawn by the one who would be the king of Avalon. And I'm burning a hole in the sky. I'm breaking these chains, burning a hole in your mind. I'm breaking free, falling out of the sun. I found a hole in time, falling from the womb of the stars, from the stars. Vivian, lady of the lake, you rise from the water like fire from ice. Would have me show the way I've weird. Did you really think I would not see who you really man. Once you held it in your hand, you would enchain me outside of time. But the storyteller saw a greater tale. Now I walk through your dreams and live inside you, my jewel of Babylon. And I'm burning a hole in the sky. I'm breaking these chains, burning a hole in your mind. I'm breaking free and falling out of the sky. I found a hole in time, falling from the womb of the stars, from the stars. Alone I walked these hills by night. I am the stream and I am the light. I am the whisper inside of your mind. And I stand on the crossroads at the edge of time. Still I desire you, my jewel of Avalon.
Bravo! Wow, that was amazing. That was amazing. The chat was going crazy. Everybody just loved it. I was just absolutely loved it. You're so gifted and talented. Yes. Wow. That was really, a lot of people see you said, it was like somebody said they had tears. It was, so yeah, everybody's blessing. Oh, that's great. Yes. Bravo. So
Yeah, I love that song.
great
I
job.
love that period.
Yes. Great job.
It's a slightly subdued version because, it's like nearly 3 a.m. here and I got neighbors either side. And if I let rip, they're probably going to get pretty upset. So I had to scale it down just a little.
No, but that was amazing. That was amazing.
Thank
you. Wow, just very powerful.
Nobody has ever heard. That's not even been recorded yet. So that's absolutely brand new. And if my publisher,
you know what, I would love to get you some, if you wanted to ever create a song for SNX radio or for a topic on here, I would totally plug it and give you credit for it if that were something you wanted to do. Just throwing it out there.
How about that one?
That was great. That was great. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So, just let me know. But we have our boundless authenticity back. Do you have any questions for him? I know you kind of got.
Well, first of all, yeah, dude, that was killer.
Yeah, you heard it. Oh, I wasn't sure if you
I got
heard it or not.
Off. Yeah, I listened to it on my phone while I restarted my computer. But yeah, I don't think I have any more questions. I just came to hang out for a few more minutes before I gotta go.
Glad you did. I know that I hadn't even put the music connection together, and I'll have to get you on too. I had no clue about you guys. That was about the music and spirit and ET, the connection there is. I would love to do that. Have another show and do that. I guess too. Do you have another song that you want, something, maybe some part of a song or something I guess you want to leave people with? Yeah, something you're working on or, and also please tell them where to find you.
But I got to be a little careful of the neighbors.
I know, I apologize in advance. I should never ask you to do this, but I love it, yeah.
Probably be... This will be a quiet rendition of another Avalon song. You tell which direction these things go in. I got a lot of stuff about just about every aspect of ufology, but I'm not very good at learning my own songs, so I tend to have to fall back on older ones. It's very hot in this room. The guitars don't like it. When I was a kid, something inside it seemed to call to me. Nights in the storybook seem to come alive in my mind. Was the North of just a tale about something called the Grail of Wizards and Sorcery? Hey, but don't you see, it's about you and me, you and me. And we're all walking down the road to Avalon. 'Cause you, me, everyone gonna find our souls on the road to Avalon. But you, the part of me that I lost so long ago, can I walk this road? Yeah. In the shadows of a man's mind, there's a block and it's harder than stone. Lies a magical blade there, only he can draw. So we search forever just to try to get together with a cup that we may never find. Lady of the lake stills the waters of your soul and draws you in from the cold. I found the grail in your soul, yeah. And we're all walking down the road to Avalon. 'Cause you, me, everyone gonna find their souls on the road to Avalon. But you're the part of me that I lost so long ago. Can I walk this road? Kings and queens, wizards and dreams, knights who fight to set ladies free. Doesn't part of them all put together, don't it add up to you and me? I hid out on the road I was on with a soul, spell that you can't set me free. Was another one with the lock undone, here weren't you the one with the key? You set my spirit free, you brought out the best in me. And we're all walking down the road to Avalon. 'Cause you, me, everyone gonna find our souls on the road to Avalon. But you, the part of me that I lost so long ago, can I walk this road? I walk this road.
Wow, bravo, bravo. That was amazing. Yeah, you're so talented. You're so talented. And we'll definitely have to come back on for a part 2. Definitely a part 2. Can you, I guess, in leaving people today, do you want to let them know where they can find you? Solomon Jacks?
They just released a new album on Bandcamp, and so it's Solomon Jacks on Bandcamp, and the album is called Mystery. And what I did was they charge you money if you release it as an album. So what I did was I put each of the individual tracks on numbered with the same cover, which is 2 ETs, 2 little grey aliens. Now there's a story behind those. They were cut from wood in Rendlesham Forest by a guy who's probably out there watching right now with a bit of luck, a fellow by the name of Ralph Hull. And he said that when he cut the wood, there's pine wood, that the ET figures were already there, encapsulated inside the cutting. And all he had to do was chainsaw around them. And then he photographed them. I photoshopped the photo and took the background out and put a colored backing in there and used it as the album cover. So that's Solomon Jacks Bandcamp, and they're the first ones that come up on my page, Mystery. And Mystery is literally the story of the universe put to music. It doesn't
that's amazing.
have the song on about the mantis. That's on the next album, which will be released probably in the spring. I'm not going, no point in releasing 2 albums together. But this one, has just about everything on it. Starts off with a track called Genesis, and you can probably imagine where that goes. And it's also got a song on there called Anunnaki. it pretty much covers the entire damn shebang, basically.
Yeah.
It's
And you know what? I have a
it's
question on a side note because I'm really into the Rendlesham Forest. I got the leaks. John Burroughs,
go.
I'm not know if you're excuse me, familiar with him. I can't talk tonight. Um, with him, bring him on. But I have some leaks that show some stuff. I'm just wondering if maybe we could talk a little bit more. Maybe I know you're very close, right, to the forest and to some of the people there, correct?
Really, yeah.
There, okay. Okay, so I'm just wondering if maybe there's a side project I could possibly get your interest on, but I'll talk to you about the details after. But yeah, I got some pretty
Brilliant.
solid leaks. They thought they were going to platform me on it. Thought I'd take the deal, but I didn't. So I still have the
Yeah, I'm
material.
always up for that. I've had so many encounters in that place. I mean, it's just not funny. I mean, there's somebody said she'd be out there in the chat, a British abductee called Ros Reynolds. Hi, Ros, if you are watching. And
Oh,
we had some crazy times down there. I mean, this black thing flew over the top of us, but probably haven't got time to go into the
well, I
horrible.
was wondering if we could maybe would she be interested in coming on if we could do a panel to get in the
She
Rendlesham
might.
Forest. I could love to show
might.
you what I had before, and we could tear it apart. I think.
That was her one and only visit to Rendlesham Forest, which surprised me
Wow.
because she'd never shown any interest in the place before, because she had her own telepathic link with a future version of humanity, which I was going to talk about tonight, but we're probably running out of time. Maybe we'd do that another time, or I can if
Yeah,
you
no,
like.
I'll definitely and like I said, if you're open to do Wednesday, I mean, we could definitely put in a like do next Wednesday if you wanted.
Yeah, I'm good for it. I'll
Okay, and
try
then
and learn a
and
couple
by
more
now and
random
then,
songs.
yeah, if you can find a couple, oh yes, please, please, and I will promote that as that, so people will come definitely to listen to some music too, um, and we could do it at an earlier time if that's better, so you're not like bombarding your neighbors in the middle of the night. But yeah, that would work out awesome, and maybe we could get a panel together and really hit on the Rendlesham Forest, and I can show you what I have before, and then we can kind of plan, and then we'll plan on next Wednesday, like 7 or even I could do as early probably next week as 5 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Um, that's 5 hours later here. So that's about, yeah, that's fine by me. I can do 11 p.m. 11 p.m. I'm just getting warmed up. I'm almost white.
Yes. Well, I'm just saying that I don't want your neighbors to, if we want to have a little bit of a dance party going on, I just don't want your neighbors to get mad. That's all.
I'll warm them.
Yeah, oh, yes, that's a good idea, and tell
I'll
them
warm.
that, yeah, SNX Radio, Coley, that I sincerely appreciate it, and I
Yeah.
will throw them all a shout out before, get their names, and we'll make sure we thank them for not calling the
Yeah.
police and letting you sing, so that would be amazing, definitely amazing. So I guess
I've
I'm
loved it.
leaving
Loved every
that.
minute.
What's that?
I've loved every minute of it. I mean, I've never really done live stuff like this before. The stuff on my channel, it's always been music videos that I've recorded or AI'd. So this is a bit of a new. I've done plenty of live gigs, and there's a live gig on my channel if you want to see it, which
Yeah,
incidentally is
yes.
recorded in Yoxford, which is like you could throw a stone from Yoxford and hit Rendlesham. So it's almost in Rendlesham.
Ah, that's
It's
very
called
interesting.
Jack Solomon because that's my real name. Live at Yoxford. It's on my channel. You can go and see that if you like. That's all original. All of those songs are mine. So that would give you something to play with.
Yeah,
But yeah, by all
definitely.
means, visit the site and it's only going to cost you $1 or $1.25 or whatever it is, and you can download a song $1 basically. Lots on there.
Yeah, that's amazing. So give them again your links because I did not, but I will get them updated into StreamYard. So you guys can stop back, and by the time you come back for the replay on this show, they will be there. But for right now, Solomon_Jax for your
Yeah,
YouTube. And Bandcamp, can you tell me that one again?
yeah.
Or could
Solomon
you
Jack.
post it? Do you have the link? You can go ahead and post it in the chat too, and I can pop it up on
Uh,
the screen.
Yeah, I haven't got chat showing on here at the minute,
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, I can put it up afterwards if you like. I have sent it to you.
Yes, you did.
Yeah,
Yes, you did.
is there a way of me putting it in that split screen? I'm not
Yes,
quite
if
sure.
you see the chat, if you go look and you see the comments,
I
you
can't see any chat here at the minute because I'm in the studio version.
of
Uh,
StreamYard?
Don't know how to do that. Let's have a look. Go to Bandcamp. I'm still here.
No, I was looking at my end too to see if I could find it quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I have it. I think I do. I can grab it for you.
Right. There it is. It's
So you
pretty
get the voice.
straightforward, actually. Right. Is there somewhere I can paste this?
Okay, check and make sure in the can you see the chat? But what I have is
Can't see the chat. Not in studio.
solomonjacks.bandcamp.com. So I'll you know what? Here, let me pull it up on the screen. Can you see it at the comment? If you
That's
look
it.
at the screen?
You got it. That's
Okay.
the one I sent you earlier on. You
Yes.
can get a lot of my stuff. By no means all of it, but you can get quite a bit of my stuff on there.
So, and I'll go ahead and I am going to I'll make sure that gets put in there and back up. So everybody, if you are, go to Bandcamp and look up Solomon Jacks because he's got some amazing work, and yeah, he definitely deserves the credit for that. It's absolutely beautiful from what I heard tonight. So in closing, until I guess next week, we do a show on next Wednesday. What would you like to leave the audience with today?
Time. That's always where it's at. One time I had something cancelled. I used to go and see this medium lady, had her own radio show, back in the days of analog. And I just used to go and see her as a friend once in a while. And as I was walking out the door, I heard the phone ring, and I very nearly didn't answer it. And I just knew it was her, and I knew she was going to cancel. And lo and behold, I'm sorry, Jack, I've got a migraine. I got to call it off. And okay. I was enraged. I'm not the most evenly tempered individual in the world, and I freely admit that. I am volatile, to say the least. I had to take that out on something. So I came up here into a sort of prehistoric version of this studio, and suddenly there were 4 songs. 4. And I don't know where that 2 hours went. But, I mean, that's another time displacement. I didn't even know that you could write songs that quickly. You hear stories about, like, the Rolling Stones wrote Satisfaction in 20 minutes and this sort of thing. But there were 4 completed songs sitting there on a tape recording in front of me, and I have no idea how that happened. But I got a voice, came right at the start of it, and it was a song. It eventually became called. I'll try and learn this for next week if you like. Yeah, it's on there. You can get it off the site. It's called Veils of the Sun, and I heard a voice as clear as I can hear yours, and it was from this direction, and it said, "You must write a song about Stonehenge."
Oh, wow.
And I thought, well, how the hell do you write a song about Stonehenge? How does anybody do that? And it just came, Veils of the Sun, walking through the veils of the sun.
Wow.
That's what it is. That's what it's for. You're walking through the veils. I blinked. There it was. The whole thing just finished. Done.
That's amazing.
And then there were, next thing I know, I blinked twice, 3 times more, and there was another 3 songs with it. So again, this timeless thing kicks in when you hit that still point. When you get to that creative wellspring, once you jump in there and start swimming around in that, all of this disappears.
Yeah, most definitely. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for your time, your music, and sharing what you have with us. It's been absolutely beautiful. Thank you for stepping up, and thank you for being a part of the admin team too. I really appreciate all you do, and the rhino, If we got to take the rhino,
White buffalo.
Oh, white buffalo. Sorry, white buffalo, not rhino.
Lakota buffalo.
My bad. Well, I'm gonna say goodnight for now. I'll go ahead and remove you behind stage. To everybody else, I just wanted to thank you for being here. I know it's not one of our normal nights, but it might be. Who knows? So, on behalf of SNX Radio, thank you for taking the journey into the unknown. I'm Coley Weber, and I've been your host through that tonight. So, everybody stay safe. Have a great week. We've got a great lineup coming up. Just stay tuned. I will be posting it soon. And I'm trying to get better at posting it on YouTube. And let's see, Whispering Portals, Laura, hello. Spider Bite, hey girl, so glad you're here with us. I just wanted to catch some of you who I had not before. And Mad Pack 777 is awesome, amazing. Thank you guys for picking up these wrenches. And I really, really do appreciate it more than you know. I really do. It helps, especially when we get some of the shows like we did the other night. So, Ancient Turby 7116, thank you so much for joining us. I know I want to say Jason. Jason was in. No, Kurt W75 was in. I know that they were show jumping around, but Jordan, sure, nice to have you. And everybody, I think that's all. If I missed you, I'm so sorry. And Daryl Denton was in the house. Hey, Daryl. Oh, I'll be back to you soon, Daryl. For those of you who don't know, my main YouTube account was shut down, and with it, my schedules went, and I didn't get all the chat back yet. So I'm trying to get my chat together. I'm trying to get everything back in order, and it's just it's just a little bit. So Daryl Denton, I am on it. You and I have an idea, so I will definitely give you a call tomorrow if you're still listening. I apologize. But again, I just wanted to thank each and every one of you for being there, for showing up, even though it wasn't one of our normal nights. Do plan on next Wednesday, because we'll be bringing Solomon Jacks on back, and we're gonna be going in. Oh my gosh, Mad Pax 777, thank you so much. I did not see. Okay, so I just got monetized, and I just got the super stickers and things. So mods, if you guys see those, please make sure. Well, I guess he is a mod, but thank you so much. I totally forgot that. Well, it's not that I totally forgot. I'm just not used to seeing it. It's been a while. This is my third YouTube account that they haven't shut down. So I really appreciate that. Wow, that just made my whole night. You're the first one on this account, MadPack777. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate it. So I guess William Nighthawk, nice to see you could make it. And do I have anybody else? I know I had. Oh yes. Jesus, thank you for being here, and I really appreciate. Oh yeah, Real Baker. Definitely. I hope you send me something on X, and I'll check it out for sure and refresh my memory, because sometimes it gets a little whatever. But Iron Bear 7810, welcome and thank you. And Ashtenix, yeah. So everybody, I just really wanted to again say thank you. I know that's all I've been saying, but anyway, thanks again. Thank you so much for supporting the show, for supporting me, and everybody that's been on. So I can't even thank you enough for all of that. So again, thank you for taking the journey into the unknown with SNX Radio. I'm Coley Weber. I've been your host tonight, and I will be back to see you. We will be hot and fresh Thursday night, which is tomorrow night, 7 p.m. And until then, take care of one another. Be good.